All right, party people. So just to be really honest with you guys, I like this better than the CZ Scorpion. So this is the Palmetto State Armory AKV. Essentially, it's an AK that's chambered in 9mm and it's a pistol. And I've really wanted to try this for a really long time. The problem is they sell out really quick, and it just took a while for, Palmetto State Armory to get one out so we could review it. I have taken this out and put a ton of rounds through it. I got a lot to say about this thing. I mean, there are some cons to it, don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna just sing its praises, but my goal with this video is to give you a realistic expectation of what it's like to actually shoot this gun, own the gun, what the experience is like, and also go over all the pros and the cons of it. And then by the end of the video, I'm gonna tell you, based on my experiences, if this is something that I would buy with my own money. And hopefully by the end of the video, you'll have a better understanding of the PSA AKV and whether or not it's something that you might want to own or not. Now, just kind of a heads up, guys, I'm probably going to butcher a lot of terminology in today's video. I remember when I did the video on this guy right here, I kept calling it an AK-47 and everyone crucified me in the comments. Oh, it's an AKM, it's an AKM. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't speak communist. So forgive me. So if I screw up a lot of terminology in today's video, feel free to correct me down in the comments. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. If you guys remember, I think it was early 2019, I got this guy right here, which it still is, but I've modified it. This is the PSA AK-47. I call it the PSA AK-47. It's just easier to say. With this one, it originally had wooden furniture on it, wooden stock, wooden grip, all that stuff, and I found it to be really slippery. So I changed out a bunch of the parts. We changed the stock on it to, one of these folding guys here. Changed out the grip to something a little more grippy. I put an ALG trigger in it, which was amazing. And then I changed out this handguard, which is probably the mod I probably shouldn't have done. I put way too much handguard on it and it made it really front heavy. But nonetheless, with this one, I am a big fan of AR platforms. I like all guns, to be honest with you. This gun just didn't really fit my shooting style as much as I had hoped that it would. And I like it, I like to shoot it. But when it comes to like a practical application, such as, coming from low ready to shooting, or coming from high ready, it just felt unbalanced even before I changed out the furniture. So it's not that I didn't like the gun, it just didn't really fit me as much as I had hoped. So when this guy came in, I was a little bit skeptical. I wanted to really put it through its paces to see, if this was something that I was gonna enjoy shooting, or if it was gonna be something that would just fit my shooting style. I'm gonna give you a little bit of a spoiler alert, but I'm not gonna give away everything. This is my all-time favorite 9mm AR pistol. It's the CMMG Banshee that I've done a ton of modifications to. I have a complete build series on this. If you want to watch it, I'll link that down below. But the way that this thing is designed, and we'll go over to the cool things that's designed about it, but the way that this thing is designed, if you're coming from an AR platform, it's almost a seamless process in regards to manipulating the gun. And this might replace this as my home defense. Now, for those of you guys that are new to this channel, I can't really link to products like this from YouTube. So if you follow the first link in the description below, I'll also pin that link in the comments. That'll take you to another page where this video is also hosted. And in the description of that video is where you'll be able to find all the product links for everything that we're talking about. So if you see anything that you're into, just follow the first link down below. So let's dive up close real quick. Let's go over to tech specs. Then we're gonna go over shooting footage, talk about the pros and the cons of this, because it does have cons, everything does. So the AKV comes in a ton of different flavors on their website. They have some that have the Magpul furniture, which is the one that I have, that has the SBA3 brace on it, and they have different colors of Magpul furniture. I think they got black, FDE. This one's the olive drab or OD green. They also have them with wood furniture. They also have them with upgraded ALG triggers in them. And they also have them with more AR style like M-lock rails and stuff like that. But honestly, after putting an M-lock on my other AK, I'm totally fine with the plastic furniture that's on it. And we'll talk some more cool stuff about furniture here in a minute, but this is the version that I have. And all those different variations all have different price points. Some of them have the triangle folding brace. This one happens to be the SBA3, which I personally prefer, but that's just me. They even have some that don't have any brace on them. They're all different prices. One thing I will say about this is if this is something that you are wanting to pick up, that they sell out all the time. But the cool thing is when you go to the website, you can bookmark it I'll give you a link to the page and you can just bookmark it and check back and see when they're in stock. And you can also click on them and to say notify when in stock. And that's basically how I got it. Like I just had to keep checking, and then I would send them an email, say, hey, you got one in stock. Can we get one for the video review? And they're like, okay, cool. Those are some things to keep in mind. So let's talk a little bit about the tech specs of this and show you what it looks like. I'm also gonna take it apart and kind of clean it up a little bit because I put like over 500 and some odd rounds through it so far. We are gonna be putting a lot more because there will be multiple parts of this video. We're definitely gonna be doing some upgrades to it. A couple things about it that you should know. We got a forged front trunnion. We got a forged bolt carrier group. We have a 10.5-inch barrel that is chambered in 9x19. 1 in 10 twist. Has a 2-port, what they call a tanker style muzzle brake on it. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And the thing I like about it is how it's like a traditional style. So you can just push down this little pin and you can start twisting it and change it out. There's no torquing it down or aligning it with shims or anything like that with the timing. So that's kind of cool. I like that, but I do want to try to get a different one, see what that's like. It does have a top rail on the dust cover up here. This is a new red dot that I'm running. Well, it's technically a green dot, but I have the red and the green. We will be doing a review on it. It's so hard to show you on camera. Anyways, it doesn't want to play with me today. Cool thing about it is it has a top battery and it has this open design for the glass. So I'm interested to see how that works. The only reason I haven't made the video yet is I was having a lot of trouble finding ways to mount it to my handgun because I think handguns are a better way to test these small red dots than a rifle because of the reciprocating slide is harder on the electronics, but we'll have a review coming on that. Here's your standard fixed rear sight and your adjustable front sight, so you can't adjust windage on here. It has an extended safety lever, which makes it really easy when you're at the range and you're practicing to kind of come from like low ready and just disable it and start shooting. I found that very nice. I like how I can just operate it with my index finger. So you could be low ready, boom, and start shooting. Now this one has their standard trigger in it, but they do have a model that has their ALG trigger in it. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my ALG trigger out of this one, put it in here and see how it runs. That way I don't gotta go buy another trigger because I do think that I'm gonna be shooting this a lot more than the other one. In my opinion, I'm not the biggest fan of AK triggers in general because when you start pulling them, there's no wall. You see what I mean? Like, I would like to be able to feel something, but it swings really easily. It's not very heavy at all. The reset, yeah, it really kicks your finger back out there and you can shoot again. It feels a lot lighter than a standard AK trigger. So let's test the weight on it real fast. I'm gonna try it from a different direction. I'm having a hard time with my left hand today. What I'm gonna do, because this trigger's curved and I can't get this thing to sit still, I'm just gonna hold it where my finger would be, but I'm not gonna help the trigger. All right, there we go. That feels more like it. About 3.75 pounds. Not too shabby at all. That's the way it feels. So, you know, for example, with this ALG trigger that I have, I do like the flatter design of the ALGs. They are really nice because you can really control your finger placement on it a lot better than a curved trigger. I'm gonna do the same thing with this one, just hold it where I put my finger. And that one, I think I over pulled it, but that one was 3.5. Let's try that again. Yeah, about 3.5 pounds. But let me see. But check this out. There's no take up. You're at the wall. Boom. And then watch. Very little reset. Look at that. That's butter. So we're definitely gonna have to put that into the AKV. In the box, you also do get a magazine, but these are made by Palmetto State Armory and they are really affordable. And they do tend to have these in stock, so that's kind of a good thing. All right, so I just wanted to take it apart real quick and show you some stuff. I'm gonna just clean it up a little bit in a minute. So this one is a little bit different than the standard AK, wherein when you pull the dust cover off, it's attached to the rear sight and it opens up kind of like the hood of your car. And then, you know, in order to get everything apart, you just pull the recoil spring out like so, and you pull the bolt out like this. Now, I was trying to record me cleaning it and my SD card ran out and I didn't know it. So I've already cleaned it, but it really wasn't dirty for it to have a little over 500 rounds through it. I found that disassembling this was a lot easier than your standard AR. Maybe because it's 9mm, you know what I mean? But I wanted to note that. One thing I didn't do was I didn't put any lubrication on it. So I'm just gonna lube up these rails a little bit here. And I'm pretty sure some of you in the comments are gonna be yelling at me, telling me I'm doing it wrong because AK fans are kind of like Nazis. No offense, but you know what I mean. Oh, you said it wrong. Oh, you did this wrong. Okay, if I do it wrong, that's fine. I don't mind if you call me out on it. But yeah, I'm just gonna put a little bit of lube on it, just get everything flowing good. On any of the surfaces where I've seen any wear is basically where I'm gonna put lube. You don't really need a ton of lube on these, but it always helps. All right, cool. So that's all the tech specs about it, what it looks like up close. Let's jump up top real quick. I wanna talk about what my range experience was like. We're gonna go over the pros and the cons, and then I wanna talk about, knowing what I know now, is this something that I would buy with my own money? Back up top. So that's a little tech specs, I just figured I'd go over that real fast for you. So let's talk about what the experience was like actually shooting it. Like I mentioned earlier, because I was a little bit jaded from my first experience with the AK, being this one, not that it's a bad gun like I mentioned earlier, but because it just didn't really fit me. I had some apprehension about this. So as soon as the desert opened up, I took it out to the range and I filled up all 3 of these magazines, which we'll talk more about these here in a minute. But I filled them all up and I went to town. Now, after the first mag, I was very surprised on how balanced that this gun shoots. I found it surprisingly effortless to shoot quick and to shoot accurately. I only have one target, so I couldn't do a lot of target switching, but I found it to be very simple to shoot quick and very reliable. I put all kinds of different types of ammunition through it. I mean, I put brass cased, I put 115 grain, I put 124 grain, I put steel cased, I put aluminum cased, and everything cycled perfectly. I didn't have any malfunctions on this gun. Now, I did have one little incident where, and this is something that just goes with the design of AKs in general. I did find myself a couple of times outrunning the trigger, just a little bit. Basically what it does on an AK is, because AKs are easy to bump fire, sometimes when you start shooting really quickly, you're like bang, 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 bang. Sometimes the recoil from it can cause you to bump fire. And I think that's what happened, but it's not a huge deal. That's the point I was looking for. Let's see if I can outrun it. And it's funny because when I originally went to the range, I was like, okay, on today's range trip, I had a bunch of guns to test that I've been collecting over the summer because I couldn't test them. I took out 3 of these magazines, but I ended up going through about 500 and some odd rounds through it. It was because I liked it so much. I actually forfeited testing other guns because this was so much fun. And so I was like, wow, I guess I'll test those other guns another day. So I just kind of made a whole day out of it almost. I tested other guns, but a lot of it was limited. So I think this would be a good time to talk about the pros and the cons. I'm gonna go over the pros first, then I'm gonna go over the cons. Number 1, it has last round bolt hold open. And even if you drop the mag, the bolt stays open. But this is where it gets really cool. So right here, you actually have a bolt release. Also, I like the way that this mag release works versus their standard AKs. It's so much easier to pull out, and then you have a flared mag well right here. So just putting a mag in and then ripping it is really nice, but you don't gotta just rip it. You can just hit the button to make the bolt go home. So if you're coming from an AR platform, that's super familiar. For example, on the standard AKs, typically the bolt's not gonna lock open. So you have to put the mag in, and then you either have to reach around like this, or you can just do it like this, and now you can continue shooting. But either way, with a standard AK, you typically have to take your eyes off the sights. So for example, with this one, so similar to an AR, you can pop the mag in, and then you can get back on target as you're closing the bolt and start shooting. That's a lot quicker to me, and I thought that was a really cool little feature of it. I told you we'd talk a little bit more about their magazines. So cool thing is they come in a bunch of different colors. You can get them in flat dark earth. They even have one that looks like a banana, if that's something that you're into. And then they have steel reinforced feed lips on them. That way they'll hold up over time. Now, with that being said, from the reports that I've seen just online, I don't have any CZ Scorpion mags, but these should work perfectly in a CZ Scorpion. From what I've heard from others, there's been mixed reviews on whether or not the CZ Scorpion mags work reliably in this. And so I'm gonna order some CZ Scorpion mags, probably the ETS group ones, just to see how they perform in this. And then, we'll have another part 2 of this video when we're doing modifications to it. The next pro to it is it has been, at least this one that I have right here with me today, it's been extremely reliable. I've been very impressed with how reliable this gun is. I don't know why I expected it not to be reliable, but it has definitely surpassed my expectations. The next pro to this is it accepts standard AK parts. For example, you can get a standard AK grip. You can get standard AK triggers to drop into here. You can get standard AK furniture to drop into here. The next pro is how comfortable it is to shoot, how easy it is to shoot, how easy it is to control, and the intuitiveness of manipulating it, similar to an AR-15. The next pro is I like the fact that it has a top rail. You don't got to go buy an aftermarket top cap that has the integrated Picatinny. I like that it was on there. I was able to mount this red dot perfectly with no problems. The next pro has forged trunnions in it, forged bolt carrier group, and it shoots super fast. And it's easy to shoot super fast accurately. Let's talk about the cons. In comparison to my AR pistol, it definitely has a little bit more recoil, but it's not uncontrollable recoil. It's just a little bit more violent in the way that it cycles. So for example, when it cycles, yes, you can feel it coming back a little bit more, but when that bolt carrier group goes home, you can feel it bring you back. So it's very balanced that way. So you don't have your muzzle rising, it's just a little bit more jerky in the way that it shoots. But I think if we change out this muzzle device in the future, we might be able to eliminate that, but that'll be in a future video. The next con that I have about this is the grip angle. I do wish that it was a little bit more vertical. Even this one didn't come with this grip, but I put a little bit more of a vertical angle on here. It's just a little bit easier on my wrist. And whenever you have a pistol, I just feel like companies should just include more vertical grips on them. It's just in my experience and the people that I've spoken with in the past, I feel like people typically have better experiences with straighter grips when it comes to pistols. The next con that I have about this is the height of the iron sights. I know that they're probably standard height for AKs, but in my experience, I like shooting ARs with the C grip right here. I like getting a good firm grip on it. The problem is when your thumb overlaps, you can't see your sights. It completely blocks them. Even with the red dot, you can kind of do it, but if you go too far over, it blocks the red dot. But then again, I could probably just get a riser for this red dot, which we'll cover that in a separate video. I'll probably get a riser for it and test it. Yeah, I just wish that you could use the irons with this grip instead of this grip. So that's kind of a con just to the AK, I guess, in general, for me. Honestly, as hard as I've tried to find more cons about this, I just can't find any more. This cost about $100 or so less than the Scorpion Evo. And because of that, I think that this is a better deal than a Scorpion Evo. Now, I don't own a Scorpion Evo. I have shot many of them, and they're fun to shoot. But I love the fact, like with this one, it's just an easier platform for me. It's more intuitive. The controls are way easier. And it's less chunky, if that makes any sense to you. Now, that's just a personal thing. You might love the Scorpion Evo more than this, so I can't promise that to you. But nonetheless, I like this better than the Scorpion Evo. So with that said, I would 100% buy this using my own money. Yeah, I know that Palmetto State Armory sent this out to me, and I know that if you're new to this channel, you're probably thinking, well, dude, of course you said nice things. Here, I will put a playlist, I think up here, I believe, of all the products that were sent to me for free. and I said I wouldn't buy them. You know, basically on this channel, I don't really care if I get a product for free, because if it sucks, I'm gonna tell you guys about it. Or if there's something wrong with it, I wanna tell you guys about it. But honestly, you should watch other people's reviews too, because I only have a sample size of one. So I could have a really good one, and then somebody else could get a crappy one. So you kind of wanna watch a multitude of videos. Don't just take my word for it. But I am curious, guys, let me know down in the comments. What are your thoughts on the PSA AKV? Is this something that you've been looking at? Is it something you've never heard of? So in the next few videos that we're gonna be doing on this, we're gonna be talking about some modifications that we're doing to this. And there's not many, but there are a couple that we're gonna change out on here. And then we're gonna see how it performs with the new mods. But if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments. But until next time, guys, I love you. You guys stay sexy.